On the front row, you have his teammate Blake Davis, then P.J. Jacobson, Cameron Peterson, Ty Scott, and Josh Hayes.
Then we're going to go back to row number 3. We see Corey Alexander, Kayla Jakob, Jake Lewis. Good to see Jake back. Joe Lamondre Jr., guys, should be in our series full-time. They're on row 4 next to Max Van and Torrin Collins. I saw them wheeling Aiden Sneed's bike off the grid just now. That's a shame. De Silva, Enriquez, Chase Black, Nassani, and Owen Williams will be on row number 6. Then we have Shane Maggs, DeLeon, Greg Monk, Chopkoff, and Kevin Horney. They're on row 8. A little further back to the last row, we got Zaragoza, Omen, and Jeff Bean.
18 laps scheduled. A look at our front row as we wait for the lights to turn off as we get rolling. Here we go. A good launch from the front row. Oh, it looked like Ty Scott on the Vision Wheel M4 Star Suzuki got a tremendous launch from row number 2, the number 70. He works his way into about 4th position, and he gets swallowed up. Around the outside goes Peterson, inside goes Josh Hayes, and we're away racing through turn 1.
It was really Blake Davis that got the jump, but his teammate on the number 1, Matthew Schultz, just let go of that lever. Look at PJ. He wants to go with Matthew Schultz right away. He tried to get by Blake and wasn't able to make it. That allows Cam Peterson through, and look who's 3rd. He's going to have to get away soon. So this is a very aggressive move and a good move from P.J. Jacobson. He just can't get the bike turned. And Blake Davis, you can see he felt the number 15 up underneath him.
It's the battle for 3rd. As you're talking about P.J. Jacobson on the number yellow machine. That's the Ray Hall Ducati with Ducati Moto X Spell machine. He gets around Hayes. And down into turn 1 they go, and at the same time, Strack Racing's Blake Davis gets around Hayes.
I talked to him just before he put his helmet on. He said really his goal for the race was to try and stay on the back end, as we've had a rider go down now, and trying to stay on the back end of that front group, because he felt like he has the pace, but he's physically struggling, and he just didn't want to let him get away too early. So having that gaggle there with him, that may or may not help him, but you can see that gap starting to widen.
He's got to turn that lap time into positions. He's got to put himself ahead of his 2 rivals up front of Schultz and Peterson if he's going to continue to grow his lead in this championship, because live results would have it right now that he would lose the lead at the mid part of the season here in Motovation Supersport.
Cameron Peterson sitting in 2nd place. That's not surprising. We're used to seeing him up there going for podium positions, but this one comes on after having a great start to the race. His last couple of them, he had to fight his way through the pack. Even just at the last race, he came from 14th after a bad start all the way up to the podium result. So for him, he's going to now have the tire at the end of the race to actually fight with, which is what he felt like he had been lacking to be able to go ultimately for race wins. So we'll see what happens in the second half of this race, because he has a lot of confidence.
On that Boss Barkarn Racing, that's a YZF R6. So we're looking out front is R9s, and then some riders still choosing to race the R6. Side by side, through the kink, cross start finish line, down into turn number 1.
He had a run, Greg.
He did, but Cam Peterson was so good on the brakes.
Yeah, but when they came past our position here, PJ was almost up alongside Cam, but with the way the kink works, they seem to get a little bit loose.
Want to do it. Here he goes. All right, draft and pass now. Side by side, they go through the kink.
You see the kink there, Greg? It just is, he's not quite up alongside enough. He gets a good run. And you know, Greg, if it was a straightaway, he'd be able to do that no problem. But that kink is there. And you know, if he gets close enough, did Cam go wide? Cam did. Cam ran wide in the middle of turn 1 down there. So that's going to allow PJ through. That's going to be a break for PJ. Now,
where that Cameron Peterson maybe was holding up PJ. Now, good look on the left part of your screen.
You're going to see Cam's going to, there he is. There's Cam, ran a little bit wide. PJ goes underneath, live shot down on the bottom right. He doesn't mind it being a little bit loose underneath it. Now, if you look at the distance between him and Cam right now, you think it's too much. But what happens is the draft, the way it works, if you can be a little bit further back, you can slingshot. See that move there, Greg? He's able to slingshot up alongside PJ. That's timing your draft perfect. Is he in a little bit too deep? That's the question. He is. And that, again, you gain those extra mile an hour. It gets you into that corner a little bit too deep and makes him run a little bit wide.
Yeah, but the problem is for Cameron Peterson, too, is he's had a couple goes through 1 and 2 where he has run wide. And so he's just got to kind of figure that out on board and make sure that when he does attack, that he doesn't fall victim to that same going wide and allow Peterson to get back by. An incident that he had in a different class at Laguna, and he said the only thing really bothering him at this point is the ribs. And it's the constantly moving this motorcycle. Oh, man. Wow, PJ got in there, some lap traffic and almost disaster. but was able to gather it back up. And those two now safely by the traffic, and their battle will resume.
Scary place to catch traffic, and it's scary for the back markers too there. So as you can see, it didn't separate these two, but it definitely is going to make it to where Matthews' lead of 3.9 seconds will probably have grown as it does to 5.4, 26.3 for the number one out front, Greg. That's only a 10th off his best. 5.5 seconds now to this battle. So
again,
PJ finally run. Poor Cam, he's been wide there a couple times. That grass is going to be wet. That's going to allow Blake through, and now Cam's going to find himself back in 4th place. So we've seen him run wide 3 laps in a row now, Greg. He's going to have another full second on PJ just on this lap as he jumps back into the 26.7. Look at PJ using the body English, Greg. That's a combination of body English. You're going to see him coming into the frame right now. The Ducati of Cam Petersen has reeled in Blake Davis on the 22. And you see how Blake kind of stayed over to the right there? There's only maybe a couple, 2 or 3 really good solid passing spots around here at VIR. Blake.
And Cameron Petersen on the Celtic Economy Lube and Tire Warhorse HSBK Ducati. Down into turn 1 they go, where Cam has been great on the brakes. Not going to happen this time. Jamie?
Very tight down the front straightaway. He's going to the outside of him again. Now he's got to cross back. See how he's crossing back under? Because he knows he's got to be into that spot to go by Blake Davis. And when you do that, the thing is sometimes if you're in the draft, you got to roll out of it a little bit, which isn't going to allow you to get up alongside of the 22. He's going to go through this left. The bike's going to get very loose out of this right-hander for both riders. We're probably just going to feel a little bit of wheel spin. But see Blake nice and tight again as Matthews in the last corner. Look how tight Blake went in there. He's going to control that apex speed on his run down to the finish.
Motovation Supersport Race number 1 here at VIR, and the number 1 plate gets the number 1 spot and will take the win. A great victory for Strack Racing and Matthew Schultz. In 2nd place goes PJ, and now the battle for 3rd onto the straightaway. A good run by Cameron Petersen, now to the kink, side by side, and it's going to be Cameron Petersen who's able to draft by 1400ths of a second over Blake Davis.
Here we go from a drone image you're going to see here. That is the difference between Cam Petersen and Blake Davis. What a run to the line for Cam. What a last lap, an entertaining last lap between these two.
Look at the lean angle to it sometimes. So congratulations to Matthew Schultz celebrating with his fans here at Virginia International Raceway.
I think you just kind of try to maybe rewatch the race again and see where you're losing. Look at the split times and see, early on in that race, it was that 2nd sector where Matt was a half a second quicker than the leaders, and then toward the end of the race, it was that 1st sector. So just trying to work with your crew and figure out a little bit here and there, but Matt's going to go to work too with his crew tonight and try to be even stronger tomorrow.
And then obviously for Cam Petersen as well, good to be able to get onto the podium after that issue earlier in the race. But more than anything, he's shown into this race weekend as well, just like at Laguna, he's going to be a contender all the way through again.
AMA Racing has been here. Hayes in 5th place. Ty Scott in 6th. He was hanging back there, and you can see 35.5, 35.6, 36.0 for Corey.